Hi, Colin. We're live.
Oh gosh. Okay, cool. How are you doing?
I thought I'd make up for lost time. Yes, I'm well, keeping busy. I um have made a few new contacts after my trolling activities, so I guess that's a good thing. More engagement, which was the reason why
Good
I.
for me as well. I always use your contacts.
And I'm very happy to share them because
Yeah,
actually I make a point of sharing them, even
yeah.
to people I don't like, because it
What?
just adds to
You
the
don't like
pot.
me, Jim?
I
Just
know I
joking.
like you,
That
but
was a joke. Yeah,
I'm saying um,
yeah.
you're adding people to the discussion, and
Mm.
you don't really know, where it's going to go. And you already know that a lot of people don't like Islam, but you still, you talk to them, you challenge them, and you're patient with them. And you're probably more patient with them than I am. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess the whole point is to keep the channels of communication open. So
yeah.
even if they're angry with you, they're still talking to you. I don't know if you've heard that in marriage counselling, they think that if you if you're still arguing with your spouse, there's still hope for the marriage. It's when
Yeah.
you agree to disagree and you never talk about anything that is beyond what is necessary to run the household. That is the end of a dead marriage.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and I've actually learned that in terms of streaming, that if I'm too difficult with a streamer like EMJ, for example, they stop talking to you. So just I kind of like playing a different tact now, which is um just kind of like make them say what I want to say. And like for example, you Michael Jones like saying Assalamu alaikum, Islam is great. That's good. That would do. Do you know what I mean? But if I kind of say the Trinity doesn't make sense and go down that angle and prove that the Bible doesn't make sense, then nobody will listen. You know, they'll run away, and then you won't have all his followers and all that kind of stuff listening in and learning. And I do find that people, even if they don't comment, they do are listening. Like, do you remember when you came for the Jalsa, our Muslim convention in England? There's so many people who never commented,
Hmm.
but they were always just tapping me on the back and saying, "Oh, we watch your stuff. We learn a lot of stuff and whatever." You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people silently listening and learning, um, even if they're not brave enough to actually make a comment or something.
Yes, and eventually they will. And I think a lot of it is um, letting people say what they want to say and maybe questioning them, because I guess if you talk over them, they'll say, "Well, why did you invite me here?
Mm.
Just to tell me stuff." Well, don't you think I have something to say? You know, and um, and I suppose when people don't feel heard properly, they actually get very angry. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think a lot of it is sort of knowing when to let people speak and when to chime in with your own views and challenge them and but I
Totally agree.
suppose yeah, and I think in a way our online community is like a family in that well, I get the impression that families just say whatever they want to say to each other because they think um, we'll have to see each
It's
other
safe.
again at the next
Yeah.
wedding, funeral, whatever, family reunion. So it doesn't really matter. You're not going to break relations with me completely. And
Yeah.
I think with online parasocial relationships, people have that feeling. It's like even if I, fundamentally disagree with you with whatever, it's sort of it's still part of our content. If I complain about Khaled or Khaled complains about
Yeah.
Claire, it's still useful, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. It is a strange kind of family where everybody completely disagrees. You got Zionists, you got Muslims, Christians, whatever. Um, but there is something that connects us all, and that they were willing or brave enough to talk in public and say these things and actually have thought about these things as well, which is not most people. So I've got family, real family, let's just say, but we won't talk about like my dad. I think I mentioned like there's the older generation. We don't even talk about these things. So it's kind of a unique online family where people are willing to talk about it, because I would say 99% of people are just content consumers. And so we've got a strange little family of, people who are actually willing to say what they think in public.
Yeah, I mean, I was so angry with this bunch of Christians who, okay, they show their faces and they're so polite to each other and they dare not disagree. And I was just saying, look, don't you have people in real life that you can bite your tongue with, and not say, the things you really want to say because you don't want to upset them, whatever. But online, we say whatever's on our mind because this is what it's for, isn't it?
I think you're
It's like,
making an assumption. That was the big assumption you made. They don't have other people to talk to. They don't have their parents to talk to. I bet this is their only family. So
well, they're always
they
complaining
yeah.
about their family members. Maybe I'm just
Oh,
talking to
okay,
a bunch of house
maybe I'm wrong.
husbands. I mean, I don't even know. The thing is, I don't even know. But I suppose what I'm trying to say about why I think they're being so pathetic is because it's like you won't even defend your principles um, amongst people who are just people online. And if they didn't speak to you again, it wouldn't matter that much, would it? You only met them online. And
Hmm.
probably they'll still talk to you if only to argue with you. So you've still got that bit of the relationship, that bit of the engagement, and all this about being nice. I think it just creates a pressure cooker system in our heads. It's like I really want
Yeah,
to say
that's
this
true.
and that, and I can't because
And
whatever.
actually, this I have like a series on my, like a topic that I repeat over four different um let's say guests. And this week it's really about how weak Western men have become, that they can't stand up for anything, so they don't say what they need to say, and then they cry that they're not allowed to. So, like, especially these white racists, they go, we're not allowed to say what we think. Who stopped you? Nobody. Just say what you think, but don't like say I'm going to kill you, because that's against the law. That's just stupidity, right? So there's that kind of people who scared of expressing themselves. And then there's the people who don't really express themselves, but like the what do they call it, keyboard warriors. That's a weak way of expressing yourself. Like, a strong way of expressing yourself is to be sort of, how do you know, what's the word, positive criticism, and trying to make positive change, or say it to people in their face in real life. At least have the camera on, maybe, and at least have the patience to listen to you. If you're going to make a comment, listen to it. So anyway, that's the kind of thing I said I was going to. At the end of my stream with Michael Jones, I said to him, he sounds like he's a strong personality, and Western people need more strong personalities who can stand up, say what they think, believe in what they think, follow it up. Like, follow Christianity at least. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to give like Mumdani and this different Muslims as examples, of people who are really standing up for something. And when you stand up for something, you don't become a crybaby every time something goes wrong. And then you can be good at work, you can be good at life, you can be good at relationships, because you stand up for what needs to be stood up for.
But they need a religion in order to have
Yeah.
principles. Principles are moral principles, and moral principles are religious principles.
Yeah,
And
that's why Muslims
it's
are
a
strong.
simple
Yeah.
mechanical problem that I'm trying to explain to them, and they actually think they can just carry on making up the rules as they go along, which is what's
Yeah.
happening now. They're basically trusting their MPs and their you know um, their I guess the Americans would be, Congress to make up the rules, and it's like it doesn't work, and they're afraid to question democracy itself,
Yeah.
and I guess that's a sacred cow to them. But even sacred cow has idolatrous implications. But then they don't care about idolatry because they don't really believe in God.
Yeah.
And I'm just going back to these Christians because, well, they're the only people closest to believing in God, um, who might just be shamed. Like, well, if you don't really believe that God will protect you or reward good and punish evil, then you don't really believe in God, do you? I mean, you can say,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh, I believe in a God, but the God doesn't care about us. It just created the universe and died, or it doesn't really care about us." And
Yeah.
that is why you realize over the centuries, um, Jewish philosophers like Spinoza got excommunicated because he said, I believe in God, but I don't believe in the Abrahamic God who, made all these laws for us, but I believe that the universe is God. And they kicked him out. They excommunicated him from his
Yeah, he's
Amsterdam
good. He might as well be
community.
an atheist, really, because he's saying I believe in God while not believing in God. Really, the way his definition of God is a God without a brain. It just exists. It's just space. That's not really God in any sensible definition. Um,
Well, it's not a
so
moral God. I mean, that is a point,
it's not a borrowed God.
right?
It's not a conscious God. Even Spinoza's God.
Yeah, yeah, but I suppose he said, oh, but life is wonderful. I can, enjoy the beauties of art and nature and,
Yeah, exactly.
my
Sounds like an atheist. That's
emotions
what
and
atheists. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly what
yeah, yeah.
atheists say. Oh, I do have, and I do have wonder and like whatever you do. Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, he's been called the world's first secular Jew because
hmm,
of his, his philosophy. Um,
okay.
but I think the Jews were justified in excommunicating him because,
Yeah.
fundamentally it makes the point that if you want to claim to be a Jew or a Muslim or whatever, you have to say, you have to at least say you believe in the things that Jews, Christians, and Muslims are supposed to believe in, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no point calling yourself
Because
that if you're not
otherwise you're
following.
just a free rider. You're not, you know, um, you're not even prepared to defend the principles of the religion you claim to be a member of.
Yeah, exactly. So I could just turn up to a church and say I'm a Christian, and then say Allahu Akbar and whatever, and just ruin their proceedings. You know what I mean? So yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
just call
but
yourself anything you
this
want.
is what they do. They call themselves
Yeah,
cultural Christians, right? And it's like
yeah,
it just means culturally I go to church because my family go to church for their funerals and weddings. But
yeah,
I don't know what the Trinity is all about. I don't believe in
yeah,
God. Well, I'm a cultural Christian then, in the sense that I've been to church, I know the order of service, I know the hymns, I know, how they do things, the collection plate going round, and um, who the vicar is, and all that. But it's more than that, isn't it? You literally
mm,
have to feel. I mean, the whole point of believing in the afterlife, where good will be rewarded and evil punished, is to think, okay, I may suffer for saying this or doing that, but God will reward me in the
mm,
afterlife.
yeah,
That is why people insisted on this belief. And if you don't, then you're called a hypocrite. And what I
mm,
really like about the Quran is that it says hypocrites go to hell. So don't
mm,
think you can just pretend to be a Muslim and not obey any of the rules, because you're going to hell
yeah,
too, with
yeah,
the actual idolaters, the ones who bow before idols. And I mean, we're in such a mess that, like Britain, it's a birthplace of Anglicanism, but how many people are actually confirmed Christians? They won't
I
even
mean,
tell you the actual
yeah,
number. I
and
think it's
yeah, even the so-called Christians, the ones I've talked to, they even hate what's in the Bible. They believe in a man can be a woman and all this kind of stuff. The few that I've talked to, so yeah,
yes, because of the government over the years have changed their religion without even acknowledging it, right? So,
mm,
so really, our religion is liberalism hyphen feminism.
yeah,
I mean, this is what it
yeah,
really is. But
yeah,
we weren't told. But I know the last time the government tried to do it, which is something called fundamental British values, which is democracy, the rule of law, and respect for others, and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, it sounds so universal that I remember some Muslim in a political meeting in the East End saying, "Well, these are our values. These are Muslim values too. So what are they going on about? You know, articulating these principles like they were sort of new, but it was intended to be universal, but also intentionally vague. It's like we can all agree on motherhood and apple pie, but if we ask what it means to be a Christian, for example, they're all going to rush out of the room.
I think
Uh,
you said earlier on, in the way you said that there's more hope in for Christians than for atheists, and I kind of agree with that. Now that I'm talking to some Christians like E. Michael Jones and Nathaniel, who actually at least they stand up for something. They say this is right and this is wrong, sort of thing. At least, what do you think? There's more hope in them than liberal atheists who don't believe in any laws.
well, yes, yes. So even if we don't think they believe correctly, they're going to be at least consistent in saying the same thing again and again and again, until people think, oh, they really believe what they say. And this worked for Trump, didn't he? Didn't it? I think it did. He kept saying, I'm going to look after the vets. I'm going to do something about immigration. I'm going to end the neocon wars. Even if it was all lies, he said it so often that all these
Mm,
ideas were associated with him. And now it doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep his promises, because he's going to start a few
mm,
wars, or,
yeah.
or even the Third World War.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
disturbingly, these Americans, some of them anyway, think they can win it. Which is why
Yeah.
the sort of saying, right, we're going to invade, we're going to take Venezuela's oil.
Mm,
We've already bombed Nigeria, the Muslim part of it, and we're gonna take Greenland after we take Canada, right? This is
mm,
what they're saying blatantly in your
yeah.
face. They're not even, you
Yeah.
know, um, pretending like, oh, it's liberal interventionism. It's about human rights and crap like that. It's like, we're going to
Mm.
do it while we still can.
Yeah, yeah. There's some. I was kind of surprised when I saw Nick Fuentes say like, "Oh yeah, it's good to go and steal stuff from Venezuela. Just go for it." I thought, what kind of like insanity is that? Like, oh, maybe he's being paid by somebody after all.
Well, with these social media influencers, I think this is how they work. It's sort of like the BNP and how it's split up. So the BNP, as a political party, hated on Jews, hated on Muslims, right? And
Mm,
but after it split up, after Nick Griffin himself was expelled from the party, it didn't have this public school boy leading them anymore, and it split up between the Northern Nationalists led by Mark Collett, who blamed Jews, and the ones in the south who blamed Muslims. So
mm.
so they gathered under what's her name, Anne Marie Waters, who was a very militant atheist and secularist, and Irish and lesbian. It was all a bit weird, but
Yeah, I
anyway.
think I know her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I never knew she was running the BNP.
Well, no, it was the remnants of the BNP after
Mm,
Nick Griffin was expelled. So, and then in the end, she left the party because she couldn't, stand how useless they were, and she's
mm,
doing something else now, I think, and it
mm.
and now there's a Homeland Party, and um, there's another one coming up. I can't remember all their names, but they're basically micro parties, and and this means they're just social clubs, not political parties,
Mm, mm.
and um,
Yeah.
and they still don't get it. It's like, if you're going to make anybody gather under you, you need a big idea, and you need an idea that is bigger than what the current government is offering you.
So, do you think these Christians like EMJ and Nathan, because you started talking about these just big ideas and they just repeat stuff and whatever, and you're kind of comparing them to people like Trump who repeat stuff but know they're lying. Do you think these Christians are the same level? They're just repeating stuff and they know they're lying, or they really believe in it? Because I was getting a bit more hope in these Christians than I used to. I used to have hope in atheists because I thought at least they don't believe in the Trinity, because that makes no sense. But it looks like atheists are just stubbornly believing in nothing, and they like their freedom to do anything, and they're just killing themselves. The levels of suicide amongst them is just rising and rising. So I've stopped really believing there's much chance in them fixing themselves, and now I'm kind of hoping Christians, there's more hope in them. But are you saying Christians are just as empty and there's repeating rhetoric and they don't believe what they're saying?
Well, yes, because there is a difference. This is what I discovered with Vincent about hoping something is true and actually believing in it. So if you're Christian and just hope that Jesus is also God, you hope, you're not really sure, because it can't be explained logically. It's just like you just have to believe in order to be a Christian, and if you don't, well, then you're not one of us, go away, bye bye. While Islam is and Judaism is quite logical. It's sort of, well, the story is that the Torah was given to Moses on Mount Sinai, and it was the first divine revelation giving God's laws. And look at the Jews, and the Christians thought they could take away the status of Jews as being God's chosen people. And then the Muslims came along and and told everyone, we have a better revelation. In fact, we have the best revelation because it is the final revelation. We have the answer, to the Jewish question and everything else. So that is, I think, the position of Muslims. Not that they say it, but this is. I'm just putting it in terms of how a member of the dissident right can understand it. And slowly the sort of realizing that they have to marry their women who hate them. Because yesterday I was talking on this I was posting on this white nationalist channel, and they were just saying, these women, they're so terrible. And there was one guy saying, I don't care if this woman was shot in the face by this ICE agent, because he was very anti-immigration, and the woman, was a lesbian, and
the woman got shot. Was a lesbian.
She was shot in the head in Minnesota.
Yeah, but was she a lesbian?
Yes. Well, that's what her Twitter profile said.
Okay, yeah, I don't know much.
But she had children. Anyway, it's all mixed up.
Oh, wow.
But the point is that there are people who say, even if she was a woman, and even if she wasn't really doing anything much, who cares that this dumb bitch was shot in the face? Because they all she came from out of state, apparently, to demonstrate against these ICE ICE clearing out all these. Well, I guess that they were targeting the Somalian Muslims who've been accused of widespread, large scale fraud. And so there were, and ICE are known to, take people out of their cars and, send them to detention centers. And I saw a few days ago a documentary of, one of these kind of right-wing journalists going to Minnesota and asking all these Somalis, what's this about your scam, getting money from the state? You don't even have a school. Nobody ever comes to this office. There are no children.
I mean, I saw something like that, but it didn't seem to be a very good report, because it looks like he went before it was even opened or something. But silly stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and you saw these Somalis refusing to answer questions, shutting the door. But the most interesting thing was a white woman saying, "The ICE, don't let them in, about those two journalists, the cameraman and the journalist.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And she
see
was a
that.
white, angry white woman, right?
Hmm.
And for, you know, I guess if you were a white man, you're thinking, why is this white woman warning the Somalis against us? Who, could be, related to her by blood or something, because of the same race kind of thing. And okay, I mean, this is just a theory. I can't,
Yeah.
maybe the anger is greater. It's like, it's not even the Somalis, it's our women. They really hate us. They really,
Yeah. Oh, I see
really
your point.
want us
Yes.
replaced.
I see in some ways. Um, but people like to protect the persecuted. And they see Somalis as being unfairly persecuted by like an idiot president like Trump. I don't really buy necessarily. I mean, I haven't looked into that documentary. I just saw a clip of the documentary, and it didn't
Well,
seem to
I
be
can send
perfect.
it to
Yeah,
you. It was on Dennis
yeah,
Dale's channel on
yeah,
Sunday. I
yeah,
haven't watched it all the way through, but this is what I remembered of what I said. And then a
yeah.
few days later, there appears, it seems that this lesbian from out of state came
Hmm.
to, demonstrate, in Minnesota. And
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I'm just, trying to imagine the situation of, maybe, rage at their own, you know, women. Um,
Hmm.
because in a way, if you're going to be kind of impartial,
Do you think
you,
ICE were
you
just
might think, even
raging at
as a
their
white,
own women?
huh?
Do you think
Taking it
ICE
out
was
against their own women, you mean?
he was is he was he just raging because he was a white woman and he shot her? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we don't even know the identity of the man, but I'm saying the reaction of this YouTuber
Hmm.
was saying, "I don't care. She's just some dumb bitch who came from out of town to, demonstrate against ICE. I don't care."
And what is the background of this man? Sounds like an atheist, a nihilist who doesn't really care about anything.
Well, a white nationalist type, I would say.
Is it religious in any way?
No,
Do you think? Yeah. So I mean,
no, no.
I don't know what kind of human being says I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like the only kind of person who says that is completely disassociated with society, just doesn't care about anything. Oh, somebody got killed. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? That's like a child talking. That's what I can say about that.
Yes. So, but I suppose we could be easily guilted by somebody coming up with a sob story, and you have to care, you have to give money for this cause, or you're an evil person. And I suppose I resent this sort of pressure into, making us care for things that we don't. So I mean, let us just sort of, give people the leeway to care about or not care about the things that we think they should care about, and I'm saying, um if you're going to be, in a way, you can all sort of understand. I think it was E. Michael Jones who told the story about a black woman pretending to be mad because this
Hmm.
black woman said, "If they're paying me money to be mad, I'm gonna be mad.
But we
If
don't
they're
really
gonna pay me
conflate
to be
all
crazy,
situations
I'm gonna be
together.
crazy."
So
If they're
are
saying
you saying okay, so you don't have to jump up and down in anger, but you should be, if you're a grown up citizen of a country and you see a masked person who just shoots somebody in the face. So I saw the video. There was no need to shoot the person in the face or anything,
three
right? You could
times,
shoot the
three
yeah.
times.
It was just like a. I mean, the whole
Maybe he thought he
situation in
was playing a
America.
video game. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It was like you got. I think you got really stupid people in ICE. First of all, like what kind of stupid reaction is that? Like at least shoot the tires if you want to stop something. But yeah, he must have thought it was a video game. It's like grown-up children with guns, which is a lot of Americans, it seems. Um, being playing police officers. It's like what? Anyway, so if you don't care that that happened, like this person you're saying, this far right person, then it just says more about you. Like you're saying everybody's got a right to not care, sure, but then nobody will take you seriously if you don't care that somebody in your community, let's say, has been shot and for no good reason. Because if
Yeah,
you're a
because you
grown-up
you might be
adult,
next. You might be next.
exactly, that's
If
what
they're
I'm
going
saying.
to code
An
blooded
adult
to
reaction
shoot
is,
a
I do
woman
care.
who's not even
Yes,
doing anything much, you know,
yeah,
it's going to be worse for a man. And if you're a man, they'll care
yeah.
even less, right?
Yeah, so exactly my point, that that person doesn't sound like a grown up who doesn't understand what's coming down the line. That's what a grown up is. If you're a child, you just say, I don't care about everything. I just want to play computer games. That's what he looks like, sounds like. Or he just likes making random comments. What comes out of his mouth has no value. So yeah.
Yeah, and then somebody said, well, why are women so out of control? And I wasn't even thinking it, but it just sort of came out like, well, the only way to control them is to marry them. It was greeted with horror, but a kind of dawning realization. Your women hate you because you won't marry them.
No, they hate you because you're a grown-up child and you can't even express yourself as an adult and say, I don't care about stuff. You know what I mean? So they're
Mm,
not they're degenerate in the sense that they just piss in the streets and get alcohol, drink alcohol. They're useless because they probably don't have jobs. That's why nobody's marrying them. So and they don't stand for anything. Which is a woman looking at you and you say you don't stand for anything. You're not attractive because there's nothing there's no difference between you as a man or a child. You're basically a man child, so there's nothing attractive about you to marry. That's why they're not getting married. um yeah.
yeah, because
So yeah, go on.
I was just trying to say that women, they want, they want a man ready to go. They don't, preferably they want, somebody already powerful, wealthy, successful, etc. But if they can't get that, the next step down would be a young man with prospects, who's got a steady job, who's not crazy or drunk or drug addicted, and who cares about them. You go down that scale because ideally, which peasant woman wouldn't like to marry a prince kind of thing, you know, having read all those fairy stories, and if
Mm,
not, then a peasant man of their own class, who's the best looking, blah blah blah,
mm,
and down the scale we go as our marriageability deteriorates as we get older, right? This is
yeah.
how it basically works in all
Mm,
races and nations. And presumably the reason for the dowry in the way that the Hindus practice it is because the woman, the female side has to pay the dowry because the man the man side is, well, you're lucky somebody's going to marry you, because if my son will get more attractive, because he will get more money and be more successful in his
mm,
career. Well, your daughter, she's just going to get older. She's just going to
mm,
get older. And clinch a deal now. Pay me and my son the dowry, and then
mm,
he'll marry you and look after your daughter. And that
mm.
was how the Hindus, and I think also the Chinese, do it.
Oh,
But Islam is, the man has to pay the woman a reservation fee.
yeah, it's
Isn't that how it's?
different logic because it's
Yeah.
kind of like to protect the weak, not that, and didn't see a woman as depreciating in value, because like imagine you have a relationship with a woman for 10 years, she hasn't depreciated in value just because of her looks, because you actually have a relationship with her. Do you know what I mean? And she had your children, so I think the logic, the given logic that you just gave, I'm not sure if that's really, Hindus might say something else about the logic for women giving
Well,
the dowry,
would
but
the children
yeah,
be legitimate? You've already married her. I'm talking about before marriage.
yeah, but you said in the Hindu system, women always have to give the dowry. So let's say that she's 18 when she gets married, and then she has to give the dowry because by the time she's, I don't know, 40 or something, she's lost her value. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so clinch the deal while the female's still in her 20s and still
Yeah.
marriageable. I mean,
Yeah, no,
okay,
but
I
yeah.
can't prove it, but I'm saying that is presumably why the female side always has to pay the male side in
Mm,
Hinduism, and
yeah. All I'm
in
saying is I don't
the ancient
agree with
Chinese
the
system.
yeah, I don't agree with the idea that you depreciate in value just because of your looks while being married. But I do
Oh
agree
no, well, once
you
you're married, it
depreciate.
doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, but then why do you
It,
give the dowry in the beginning?
it's
Why do
the
the
price
women?
of getting married, right?
Mm,
So in Islam, the man has to, there's a nikah, he pays some kind of booking fee or
yeah, I
something.
get that, but yeah, I agree. You do give money, a man, but the logic's completely different. So a man gives money just so that he can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to marry you 1 second," and then divorce them after having sex with them, essentially having free prostitution. So it's kind of to prohibit that a little bit. But the whole logic about the logic you gave that Hindu women have to give the dowry is because, from what I understand, what you just said is that they lose value over time after they're married, which I don't
No,
agree
no,
with.
not after they're married, before.
Oh, okay,
We're talking about marriageability. So obviously, a
yeah,
female in her 20s is at her most marriageable because she's at her most attractive. In
mm,
appearance and personality. Young people are prepared to put up with a lot. As they get older, they get cynical and fussy and complaining, right? I mean, nobody wants
mm,
to marry an old woman, an
yeah,
old ugly woman, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
might
yeah.
be a bit of
So
a nag, and so
yeah,
uh, that's all I meant, really.
okay.
Um,
Anyway,
So
yeah, I
so
don't
so
really, yeah,
I'm trying to explain the reason why in non-Muslim cultures, the female side has to pay the male side. Uh, I can look it up. I haven't, it's obviously the top of my head. I can't,
yeah.
um,
I'm
but
looking always at the
you do
comments
know
as
that
well.
it's a female side who pays the male
Yeah,
side.
I think I heard that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
knew about the Chinese. The Chinese do that as well. What
Or in
the
the
Tao?
olden days, they
Oh,
did,
in the
but
olden
I think
days.
things
Okay, it's
may
not.
have changed. It depends on, how traditional they are. Because the idea is that, while the male will get more attractive as he gets older, he'll get richer. Okay, I know it's not nice, but that must be how they thought in the olden days.
Yeah,
But
maybe we'll search that up. Yeah.
yes,
Okay, so
I'll certainly research it.
yeah, I'm always looking at the comments to see if there's something that's kind of in line with what we're talking about. So
Hmm.
in debatable babble, whatever, is kind of talking about. He said it's probably tied in with arranged marriage as well. I'm not sure what's tied in with arranged marriages. Is it leverage or something? I don't get that either. Um, but yeah, Muslims follow arranged marriages. So do Hindus, a lot of them. And I think it helps a lot. I think this is something that people amongst religious people, Christians, are thinking of bringing back, or I think sensible people are trying to bring back, because I don't think dating apps work for most people. It works for like 5% of people, and everybody else just gets zero interest. Um, and women are not very good at choosing for themselves either. They kind of just, without their fathers guiding them, they just choose the same person or the other women are choosing on, just 6 foot tall millionaire, which they don't, which they get for one night, and they get used, and then they get thrown away, and they thought they were successful somehow.
Yeah. So I mean, the problem with promiscuity is that, once men and women have a high body count, they're less likely to stick to their current choice, right?
Mm.
And so it makes relationships more unstable. And of course, dating apps are, they're looking for churn, right? They want you to keep using their dating app and not settling
Mm.
down and getting married, right? And of course, they don't care
Um,
about your long term future as long as you pay to be on Tinder. whatever.
Wow. I didn't think of it that way. So dating apps are inherently designed so that you aren't successful in long-term relationships. Wow, never thought of it that way.
Well, there was
Cool.
a dating website, a UK one called Plenty More Fish in the Sea,
Mm.
designed to encourage a throwaway attitude towards relationships.
Well, I mean, that's usually what you say to people when they fall out of relationships that they didn't want to fall out of. But yeah, you could use it in that negative way where you can say, well, you're even if you're in a relationship, there's plenty more fish in the sea, which is yeah. But yeah, I think you got a good point. Like just looking at it from a capitalistic point of view, it makes sense for dating apps to get you hooked up with people who won't stay for long. I'm not sure if they.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you can blame the app though. I think I blame the people, and I blame dysfunctional families where parents are not guiding their children, um, and really quite coming back to lack of religion, because religion would say this is what you should do, this is how you should do it, and when you don't have any rules, you just look for superficial things like 6'2" or millionaire.
Yeah, which you're not likely to get. I mean, well, China has the same problem too, and the
Hmm.
Chinese Communist Party have used a term to try and get their women into line, like leftover women. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, in theory, this Chad, this handsome, wealthy, blah blah man prince that you're looking for might exist, but he might not be interested in you.
yeah.
So,
That's,
um,
so
so
they
they're in
invented
trouble.
that shameful term, the Communist Party. That's quite clever in some ways.
Well, I guess it's a variation of being left on the shelf, right? Your
Oh yeah, I
your
get that.
item of
I never knew it was the party, the Communist Party, that invented or pushed that term. I thought it was just like that's how the Chinese thought, which is kind of
um
right.
yeah. But I think people should give credit to the CCP for being creative in trying to run their empire, I guess, because
Hmm.
things change and you can't just stick with the old rules other than maintaining, well, keeping what you have, basically. The least you can do as a government is hang on to what you already have and not, keep letting it slip through your hands, kind of thing. I mean, if you're an
Hmm.
empire, then I guess you have to deal with people saying, "I don't want to be ruled by you anymore. I think we'll go our own way. We'll secede. We'll become independent and that sort of thing."
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, and and today I think you are the first, maybe the second person I've told about my new name, new title for myself, since we're talking about empires. I was thinking, I was calling myself, political reformer, social reformer. Now I think imperial reformer, because it
Okay.
sounds more grandiose. Because I'm just thinking to myself that if America wants to maintain its preeminence in imperialism, it could do
Hmm.
it in a better way. And Islam is an imperial religion, and I'm not, trying to undermine their empire. I just want it to be run better so people don't fear and hate it so much, including their
Hmm.
own people. These
Yeah.
um, lost Americans who don't know if they're Christian or not and dare not discuss it with each other in case they start fighting with each other about what it means to be Christian.
Sure. So what you're saying is you want to help America maintain its empire, but not in a self-destructive way, the way Trump is doing, which is basically making enemies of everybody, including the people they depend on. Like they depend on China for most of their products, right? They're not making stuff themselves. So what's the point of making enemies of them? So you're trying to give them a sustainable method for maintaining their empire. And I would do the same. It's like, okay, cool. Sustainable means being friendly with people. Don't be destructive and don't start World War III. I mean, is that a fair summary that you're trying to keep? You want to help their empire by keeping it sustainable in a way that's not destructive.
Well, yeah, so behaving like a thug is not going to help because, once you start being mean to one country and taking their stuff and being mean to another and taking their stuff and waging war against Russia and rattling your saber at China, eventually you're going to unite all your enemies
Yeah,
and they'll gang up against you. And that will be the end of you, right? This was
yeah.
what happened to Hitler.
Mm,
He was actually initially very successful. He took over Europe very, very quickly, and then he just wouldn't stop. And then he declared war on
mm,
America. It was actually Hitler who
interesting.
declared war on America.
See, I
And
didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
yeah. So, but
Interesting.
I mean, you could say that the Americans were annoying him by imposing a blockade, but I mean, the point was a lot of people in Europe and in America were broadly, supportive of Hitler. It's like, well, everybody is an anti-Semite. In those days, they were all,
Mm,
pretty overtly racist and anti-Semitic.
mm,
They
yeah.
just sort of kind of stopped it now because their governments told them not to after World War II.
Mm,
And that's why, the term Judeo-Christian came up. But before it would be Christian, it would just be, Christian. But to be more inclusive to the Jews, they're calling Christian people, Judeo-Christians, right?
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is a new term that I've noticed have started using, and I think the use of these words are really sort of signals for us to believe in whatever they want us to believe in, and it has
Mm,
so many layers that people don't really understand. But
mm,
you know, I think it's important for us to um, look a bit deeper into the meaning of words. Oh, that was a really
yeah.
important thing I wanted to tell you, and it's gone out of my head.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, hopefully it'll
so
come
we'll come
back.
back.
I do. I literally like your channel in the sense that even if you've got regular comments, even if they're just, I don't know, they're not necessarily insulting. I mean, there's in audible to whatever Babel is making reasonable comments and Demengo whatever,
Oh
I don't
yes,
know, whatever.
he's
Anyway,
been a very long term viewer, but yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
guess I've been doing this for a while, and
yeah.
I mean, I do have a unique idea, which everybody hates, including Muslims, but I think
Hmm.
the fact that they
Is that
hate.
why they follow you? Because your idea is unique?
Yeah, because they can't get over, oh, but isn't secular Quranism an oxymoron? It's like, yeah, but oxymorons exist.
Hmm.
And it could be implemented. And I'm been saying to the Americans, it's not a religion. So you could use the legal system that
Hmm.
supports the First Amendment because it's the closest thing you have to the current Constitution of America, which supports the
Hmm.
First Amendment.
Yeah.
I mean, not
Yeah.
that you would know it, because Muslims never talk about, freedom of speech supported by Chapter 2, verse 256. Or I don't kind of, I don't notice them doing that. But yes, I do
Um.
have a different
Yeah.
interpretation to normative Muslims.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it winds people up enough to comment
To
regularly on your
remember me and want to
to remember
come
you.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. My channel's just my name, isn't it? So yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's good that you are open-minded enough to put up with me, really, because it is just this sort of engagement. It's like, in a way, we don't even have to like each other. We just have to be true to our purpose as YouTubers, right? I mean, I talk
Yeah.
to people I don't like, loads of times, but
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah. Sure. Me too.
um,
Well. Yeah.
but
I mean,
because
I don't
we
want to
need
say
to
I
give you
don't like
subtext.
people, but yeah. Like. Yeah. Um,
Oh, right, right. I remember now what I was going to say. I think a lot of people are confused about their own identity. So there are YouTubers who think they're political activists, right? They think, oh, they were going to go on about immigration or Jews or whatever, and and then they're afraid to actually challenge their viewers and subscribers, and they just give them more of the same slop because they don't want anyone unsubscribing and not liking and going away and complaining about them. And then I think, well, then you're no longer being a political activist. You're in a way no better than a sophisticated beggar,
hmm,
right? Because a lot of
yeah,
it is give me money, give me a super chat, you know, um, pay me to answer your questions, and pay for special access to me or members only streams, blah blah blah. So um, I think a lot of people are confused. They think they're political activists, but they're just YouTubers. And
yeah.
that's why they won't have me on their channel, which is my refrain.
Mm.
They won't talk to me because they don't want to a entertain my idea and give it the oxygen of publicity, and yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
that's
totally agree. That's my experience, even of the Muslim YouTubers at Speaker's Corner. Um, they they're only trying to debate people with that they'll probably win. Um, yeah, I've had that speak my experience with the top YouTubers. So many of them said, "Don't record us. We don't want to debate you." Hamza's Den. You've had, and so many others, whatever. Um, Yeah, so I do agree. A lot of YouTubers fall for that. They start off as sort of activists of some sort, trying to spread the truth, but then they get mixed up with just trying to stay popular. Yeah,
yeah,
and
and
it's a business
not
for them.
lose their YouTube channel, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
a lot of these people have been artificially boosted by the algorithms. So, if you look right, if you're prepared to not have any principles and told to promote this YouTuber and that YouTuber, I mean, that is how, I notice have been doing. I don't know if you heard this expression, gatekeeper. So a gatekeeper is basically
Yeah.
a YouTuber who has a big enough following, and then they can promote, this other YouTuber or that other
Okay.
YouTuber
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's why they get a lot of deference from people desperate to get their YouTube channels promoted by this gatekeeper.
Yeah, I suppose that's the nature of things. That if you're like a celebrity, you get to promote people, and then you can be a gatekeeper for a while. But if you're a gatekeeper and you misuse your thing and you promote wrong
Use your
people, and those
power.
people,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. But then you lose that power because you look shallow. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not a permanent power. Um, do
Well,
you
you
think
become
Muslims are,
boring.
yeah.
You become
Well, yeah,
boring.
that's true. Yeah, you become boring because you don't have principles. Muslims have PR points apparently, which I think there's some truth in that. Like Mumdani is popular and different Muslims are popular, but I think it's like with all call it celebrity or fame, it's earned for a while and you can easily lose it. Like I used to like Elon Musk, and then 5 minutes after he did the salute thing, Nazi salute, and started saying all sorts of racist things about Muslims and things that didn't even make any sense, then he lost that popularity, and I think he's very unpopular now. So um, it's not a permanent thing, that celebrity and that fame and that power.
But don't you think that there's some kind of movement, even, I suppose they think that they're going to promote a few sort of good looking Muslims who are not really, faithful to their principles and, get some Muslims on side. And I don't know if you've noticed that Nigel Farage has got, is proposing some Muslim candidate, mayoral candidate for
But they've
for
always
London to
he's
be
always done that. He's
cast.
always promoted black people and different and Sikh people. It's not particular. He just needs to make sure that he can't be called a plain racist. That's why. And yeah, okay, that's not only why. I think Muslims are, as I said earlier, gaining popularity because they've earned it, and they've earned it by sticking to their guns, staying conservative, and people are realizing being religious or conservative makes more sense than just saying being a liberal, which you say ridiculous things like a man is a woman. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
Muslims earn their PR points.
Yes, and also because their beliefs are logical and easy to believe. If you
Yeah,
believe there was a creator, then why would you want to deny that the creator was Allah? And if Allah is indeed omnipotent, why wouldn't he reveal the Torah and Quran to
yeah,
humanity? Why wouldn't he? And can you find a better book than the Quran? No. It's like they've lost all the arguments.
yeah.
That's why they all run away from Muslims and they don't turn up at Speaker's Corner anymore.
Ah,
These
okay. I
questions.
thought it's because my experience with Paul, like my friend Dust, he just like has mental breakdowns, which is typical for the average atheist. They don't can't really stand for anything. Yeah, and one of the reasons why they have a mental breakdown because they can't really support their beliefs. Like there is no God. I'm not sure if there's no God and all this kind of stuff. Constant confusion. So yeah, it's hard to stand up for anything other than Islam. That's what people are realizing, because Islam's so logical. But also, people who aren't Muslims, the statistics are showing the suicide rates are going up. Life doesn't make sense. They're not standing up for it's not just at Speaker's Corner that they're disappearing. They're disappearing from the job market. That's what I've noticed in London. I mean, do you notice that? Like Asian people, Muslims kind of running everything and on all the more and more. Like I saw it as a teacher. I see it in McDonald's, I see it like everywhere. Like the foreigners are running everything. The people who are religious, they kind of they've got this solid base in their life called religion and God that they're just taking over everything.
Yeah, and because they marry and have children and have families and therefore communities. And
Yeah.
the other thing that the matriarchy is doing is closing down pubs and cafes where, white people gather. It's
Oh
so evil.
well.
The Telegraph is running a campaign to keep British pubs open,
Yeah, yeah.
in case you haven't
I
noticed.
saw an LBC thing about somebody was saying pubs are unique and it's the only way they can communicate. It's like, why don't you have a crack den? Does you can, you know, communicate there? Like, I don't. From what I've seen, the few times I've been to pubs, they're either so noisy you can't communicate, or you're so drunk you're not really communicating with a person. You just it's like they're literally spitting at you and they're not saying sensible things. So that's not really a relationship that's being formed in these pubs. Um, but they did say in that same LBC interview that you they're trying to support cafes as well, which makes a bit more sense. But unfortunately, cafes don't seem to work because have you ever been to like a Starbucks? Everybody's just got their headphones on. They're not talking to each other. The real problem is comes back to religion tells you you're all brothers and sisters. You should sit together, talk to each other, go to the mosque, go to whatever, go to the church, and communicate as brothers and sisters as a community. If you go to a cafe, there's no religion that tells you you should talk to each other. Instead, everybody just puts their headphones on and just looks at, you know, the screens in front of them, the laptops in front of them. So I don't think the matriarchy can be blamed for the lack of community and closing down pubs. I think that's just isn't that just because they're not working as a business anymore?
or people are too poor to buy themselves a pint or go to the cafe and prefer to
Aren't
sit at
pints really
home and
expensive? I heard they're super expensive, so it doesn't make
yeah, it's like
sense.
£8 now, something stupid like that. You know, it's
Yeah,
like they've impoverished, people. So they, even if they wanted to go, it's like, well, I have to make my £8 pint, £8 pint last me a whole afternoon, kind of thing. Like
yeah, exactly.
in London,
Everything's very expensive in England. Yeah, and even coffees are very expensive, aren't they? Like £5 or something. I can't remember. Oh, by the way, I should tell you, I'm coming to London on the 20th and hopefully pop into Speaker's Corner.
oh
So
yay!
yeah. So that'll be good to see you. But I'm going to be really quick. I'm just going to be in and out, do one interview. Maybe you say hello. But I'm going to go back and carry on with my lessons as well. So, but I'll
Right.
probably get
Are
there
you
about 3.
interviewing anyone in particular?
No, I'm just going to try to find one person, get one interview done, you know, and then
Mhm.
go. And I'll be there for almost 3 weeks. I might be able to come for 2 speakers' corners.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
that'll
we'll,
be
we'll
good.
we'll keep in touch and let me know if you like me to come and have a
We can
chat
say
with you.
hello. I'm going to be there really quick though,
Yeah,
because
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's always more fun when you know somebody there, and
yeah,
they can say
yeah,
hi to various people. Like you're part of
yeah.
a
I do
community.
like, yeah. I do like to say hello to all the friends I've made over when I was there for a while. So it'd be good to see you as well. Um, yeah, but it's just the way my lessons have been organized now that I teach a lot on Sundays. So I'll be like jumping in. I used to spend like the whole day there before.
Hmm.
Um, Now I don't really have that time. Yeah, but I
Yes,
try to reorganize my lessons a bit more.
yes.
Cool. Yeah.
And I've just remembered that I think before you go, I mean, we started talking about American foreign policy and the regulation of gender relations in a roundabout way, and I'm saying, as Imperial Reformer, I should point out to more people in the West that there are Islamic principles of international relations and warfare, and
Yeah.
they are intended to keep the international order and to keep the peace.
Yeah.
Instead of allowing people to behave like gangsters and take everybody's stuff just because they've
Yeah.
got bigger guns and a bigger navy and a bigger army.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Yeah. Rules like you can't attack people if they haven't attacked you, and you should gang up on peacemakers, should gang up on people who are causing trouble and refuse to keep peace. So, yeah, those are some Islamic rules. Yeah.
well, I just want to tell you a little funny story about
Yeah,
um,
man.
a Dawa stall. I was on the way to a party, and I got a prayer mat because this man was trying to make me say the Shahada in Arabic, and I refused. But I took a few leaflets, and I happened to have a few copies of secular Quranism, and I showed it to them. But they didn't buy any. But I thought, yeah, that's what I'll do when I go to Speaker's Corner next time.
Yeah, some of these people are too eager to get people to just do the shahada, and shahada for people who don't know is basically saying you're a Muslim. Yeah. There are anti. I'm just looking at one or two comments at the end. There are anti-European incentives. There are anti-European incentives. They are demoralized. Are the rules against using immigration as a weapon by displacement? I'm kind of confused. Yeah.
Well, yes, I mean that's the thing. This communication thing. It's like, what are you saying? Please tell me what you're saying. I can't tell.
I
So
think
I think
the
he's
first
not.
comment about I think it was they are anti-European incentives. I think when you were because I saw the comment come up when you said about the pub that the matriarchy is closing down pubs,
It's happening in
and then
America. Americans have been complaining that these old man cafes, the cafes where you can have unlimited coffee and you can stay there all day if you want,
Right.
which is what pensioners in America like to do. They're closing down
Yeah.
too.
Right. Yeah. 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 And why do you think? Do you think it's just people just want to break down society and they don't want any place for people to socialize, or is it just
So we
economics?
drink ourselves
Those.
to death with cheap alcohol from the supermarket sold to us by the big companies. It's cheaper.
Okay.
You just drink and then you play with your phone. You doom scroll until you've had enough, and then you either die
You
of
die
your
faster.
alcoholism
I
or you die alone,
see.
and then they want to get rid of us. They don't see any point in
Okay. So
governing us.
in a pub, you drink too slowly. Is that what you're saying?
Um, well,
Because you're talking too much. You're socializing.
I think pensioners can't afford a lot of to buy themselves a lot of pint, so they nurse a pint. They probably nurse a half pint for the whole afternoon just to
I
stay in the pub,
see.
right? This is
Yeah.
what old men used to do, just to be in a room with other people talking to them.
Interesting. Yeah. So
And now they can't even
unfortunately,
do that because most pubs
yeah.
have turned into gastropubs, which are basically restaurants. And these restaurants, these gastropubs, want to move you along, and you don't want to stay anyway because the clink of cutlery as you're, sitting there, is sort of it's saying you have no business here if you're not eating. Go sling your hook. So
Right.
people
Yeah. Yeah.
don't go
Yeah.
to the pub anymore, or if
So
they
what
go,
is on?
there's loud music.
So there's
It's to
no.
make these old men kill themselves, I think.
Sure, sure. So that's fine. Okay. And then you could give the less cynical explanation, which is the businesses just don't work anymore. And then my question was going to be, and I kind of think there's an amazing answer. My question was, what's the alternative to, well, it's not an amazing actually answer. What's the alternative to pubs and cafes, which aren't really working as social or community centers anyway? And the only answer is a mosque or these religious centers because they actually tell you what you're supposed to do there. You're not supposed to accidentally start making friends with everybody in the community, which you won't if you're British, but British people aren't like that. Um, the only place that works is a mosque, number one. And number two, maybe a church because it's got less rules, but at least it'll probably have some effect because you know why you're there. And synagogue wouldn't work because you're not Jews don't want you, and maybe a Hindu temple that could be a little bit
You
social.
could have
I guess.
Dawa cafes.
No,
Dawa cafes.
why not? I mean, I
Your,
did try that actually.
your
I did
Islamic
that for
centers.
yeah. I think our mosques should do it more. You know, our mosques do things a bit like that. We've
Yeah,
done a
yeah,
few.
I've been to your dinners. So you do very nice curries.
Yeah, we've done that. We should do it all the time though, which we don't. But unfortunately, it's because we have a lot of, let's say, let's be a little bit racist. We have a lot of Pakistanis who don't know how to socialize with British people. And they don't get the idea that British people are really lonely. Like I was at a Dawa stall um, with another Ahmadi Muslim, and he's a Pakistani, and he goes, "I don't know what we're going to preach to these people. They're all happy." And I said, "Are you joking? Do you know they're killing themselves? They've got no idea. They're in their own Pakistani bubbles. So they don't realize that they could do really well by having. We actually have free food in our
You
mosque,
should give
Ahmadi Muslim mosque.
classes. You should give
You
classes
should,
like this is how to talk to a British person.
yeah,
You
they're
can
not
do it.
interested. They love their bubbles, these Pakistanis, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. They're nice people, but they love their bubbles. They like when we have these events. I think I remember one of our guests, our friend, who's a Buddhist. He came from Speaker's Corner. He said these people can't talk, and it's exactly true. They can't talk, but they're good at dishing out the food and making the food. So that's their function, I guess. I can't. I try to cook the food. I burn it all. I'm rubbish at that. So yeah, yeah. There's
Oh,
definitely something. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Ali Dawa. I mean, he's one of the better ones because he tries to read the books that these people read. Because the first time I met him, I think it was a book of feminism. He was holding it in his hand, and I
Yeah.
guess his thing was, Islam knows how to deal with feminism. And come
Yeah.
join us, that sort of thing. Um,
Hmm.
and speaking of Ali Dawa, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Daniel Haqiqatjou saying that he's been the target of Wahhabis who don't like what he's saying.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I heard that actually. He was disappointed in a lot of these other Dawa bros, whatever you want to call them. They do kind of work together, and yeah, I suppose they
well, he
give
was saying in
people.
particular that the Wahhabis who are kind of paid, who are supportive of Israel, and this includes Ali Dawa and Adnan Rashid, who also attacks Haqiqatjou. So, I mean, I
Oh,
only mention
really?
Rashid because you've spoken
Hmm.
to him.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I've debated him. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, but they do say things against Zionists, don't they? But not much. Actually, if I think about it, they don't really say much about against Zionists too much.
Yeah, yeah. So Huggy Khatchu's complaining about people like Mufti Menk and all the compassionate imams and basically liberal imams wanting to fit in, who've been who are paid by the U.S. government to preach a
Hmm.
more Americanized form of Islam. And the most interesting video he did was posted last night. He was talking to Sneeko and talking about U.S. foreign policy, and he
Hmm.
they were saying, oh right, so the gloves are off. The Americans are not even pretending to intervene because of human rights reason. That they just take what they want, and
Yeah.
this means white people have no right to complain about the blacks committing crime and the migrants coming in to take whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how
Exactly.
they
You
want to
can't
live?
complain. That was a good point he made. I saw that bit. Yeah. 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 You
Mm.
can't complain if you're going to say I'm going to go and grab and steal whatever I want. Then you can't really complain about the immigrants stealing your jobs. They're doing it in a more fair way. At least they were asked to do the job. Venezuela didn't ask America to come and steal their oil. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I better
So
go. All right.
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you for
thank
having
you for
me.
coming. And
Welcome.
we'll see you well soon, I guess. See you this month,
Yeah.
and
See
maybe
you.
talk to you next week, next
How
Thursday.
does it go? The order is I forgot the order. Is
Or
it? Oh,
not.
this week we're talking this week, aren't we? Yeah, yeah.
We speak to each other at
No, no, no.
11 in the morning on Thursday mornings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool, cool. All right.
But don't we
Talk to you
kind of
soon.
have a Thursday? Okay,
Yes,
bye.
we always stick to the Thursday. That's good. And then you come on my stream. I can't remember the order. This week is Nathaniel. Then it's E. Michael Jones. Then it's David. Then it's you. So that'll be a couple of weeks' time, as usual.
Okay,
All
all
right. I
right.
mean, of course.
Thank you for
I, I'm,
coming.
I'm. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, I think that there was a bit of a delay, which is why I keep thinking he's about to say goodbye and he's in the middle of a sentence. Um, what I'll do is go through the comments again. Because I know there was something I wanted to go back to. Um, okay, I'm not going to talk about Israel. I didn't actually talk about the title of the stream, so I guess I'll have to change it to something else. Okay, Dr. Mengele asks, why secular Quranism is exactly the same as no-hide laws? Actually, they're not the same. They're not the same because Islam allows idolatry and blasphemy, and the no-hide laws forbid it. That is a key difference. So I don't know if Dr. Mengele is pretending he doesn't understand or has forgotten, but that is the clear blue water between secular Quranism and the no-hide laws. So secular Quranism is pluralistic and inclusive, and you don't have to be Muslim to support it. But you'd be more likely to support it if you're a social conservative who wants to support the institution of marriage and um, responsible married parenting. So, but obviously, if you're atheist and you're gay and you don't want to have children and you don't want anybody else to be responsible married parents, and then you won't be supporting secular Quranism, and people like you can be easily shamed. I don't think Jews are God's only chosen people. If you look up Wikipedia, you will find that it's more than Jews who claim to be God's chosen people. And if you've heard of the term supersessionism, you will know that Christians came along and said Jews are no longer God's chosen people because Christians are. And then, in another act of supersessionism, Muslims came along and said to Christians, "You're not God's people," because that was what Catholics call themselves. They call themselves God's people to avoid confusion with Jews. So Muslims came along and said to Jews and Christians that Islam is the final revelation. So you can see that there's been a theological arms race over the centuries, and we're coming to the end of it, I think. I don't know why Dr. Mengele thinks that Ed Dutton might be doing a stream with me. He's one of those people who decline to take me seriously. There've been even, supportive people of me paying to ask him questions why he won't talk to me, and he's always given them his bullshit answers. And that is one of the reasons why I suspect there has been a conspiracy to avoid engaging with me, because frankly they do not have anything better to propose than secular Quranism, and it is time that they realized this. Now, Dr. Mengele, I don't think Jews are the world's misfortune. I think if Gentiles were being sensible, they could extract moral lessons from what happened to Jews and avoid their terrible mistakes. So if God exists and made Jews his chosen people, it's only because he has chosen to make an example of them. But because Christians are always convinced that Jews are more fortunate than they are, they also think that they are the eternal victims of Jews. I mean, I don't want to be Jewish. Because if you take the whole thing seriously, Jews have the most restrictive religion of all, and they are punished more harshly in the afterlife if God exists to punish them for their 36 capital offenses of the Torah. So who would want to be a Jew if they just wanted to get to heaven in the quickest and easiest way possible? I don't know why these anti-Semites are always so obsessed about the Khazars. They are considered a heretical branch of Judaism. So, I mean, just let us identify the high status Jews and direct our questions and challenges at them. It's just that at the moment, even Jews don't know who their leaders are. Is it really Netanyahu? Is it really? He's just the Governor General of the American colony of Israel, isn't he? I will try to answer the final question. Are there rules against using immigration as a weapon by displacement? Who do you think is using immigration as a weapon? You need to identify what you're saying, and you probably won't be able to answer me. This is what I call sloppy thinking, and those who are listening to the stream should be on notice that they are the first ones to be informed that I'm now calling myself an Imperial Reformer as well as a social, moral, and political reformer. Thank you for your attention.